Hello and welcome to day 22, where I'll be showing you what I eat and what I recommend to eat to lose weight, regain your health, and as a positive consequence, reverse your type 2 diabetes. So on this channel, I promote the high sugar, the vegan high sugar freedom lifestyle. So that is eating foods that are high in carbohydrates or high in sugars, low in fat, low in protein, in order to lose weight sustainably. So I'm always lean, eating these foods, and of the foods that you'll see me eat, and therefore the foods that I recommend, you can eat as much of them as you want. No need to count calories, because generally the foods that I'm showing you are essentially low calorie foods. So the reason why people count calories is because, for example, maybe the keto diet or foods that are high in fat, for example, because fat is the high calorie food. So per gram, there's more than twice the amount of calories per gram of fat than there is per gram of sugar, for example. So if you're eating lots of fat, you will have to count calories in order to not gain weight. And you have to put a limit on the amount of calories to not gain weight, eating lots of fat. But with the foods that I recommend, so lots of carbohydrates, low in fat and low in protein, you can eat as much of them as you want and you won't get fat, okay? So the reason why you eat is to raise your blood glucose levels. That's the reason why you eat, because every cell in the human body runs on sugar to produce ATP, which is what every cell needs in the human body in order to function. So if you didn't have ATP, that would be the end for you, I'm afraid. So the body only stores a very, very small amount of ATP at a time. So you're always needing to produce more of this molecule for life. So sugar, glucose, is the molecule of life. ATP is what is. So if you derive ATP from glucose, then you'll always feel full of energy. So this is a freedom lifestyle because you can free yourself from the healthcare industry, pharmaceutical industry, because if you eat the right foods, i.e. the foods for human beings, okay, so I'm showing this is like the human diet, okay. So I hope you enjoy the video and you follow along. I'll be, follow along by, try the foods that I recommend, see what happens to your CGM. So I'm using the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus. So it's a little, tiny little disc shaped device that goes on the back of your arm. It's really tiny. Amazing piece of technology. Usually I'm not a massive fan of technology, to be honest. I prefer nature over technology, but yes, for this purpose it's great. And I can show you, and I'll put either during the video you'll see a time lapse of my blood glucose levels after I've eaten. You'll see a screenshot. I'll do a recap at the end of the video where I will show my blood glucose level. So yeah, being transparent and showing. So for me, I'm always lean, and you can see I'm always lean in all the videos I do. So that's that. And then for the blood glucose and diabetes, reversing type 2 diabetes through diet rather than drugs, you can see that, and I'm showing the evidence for that. So no, I'm not type 1 or type 2 diabetic, and I'm not overweight. I eat as much of the foods as I recommend. So I'm actually surrounded by some of the foods that I recommend, which are probably just about ripe now, here in August 2025. And I think it started to rain. I might be sheltered by this plum tree for a little bit. And yeah, so these are high in fruit, high in sugars, these fruits here, and there's actually sugar essentially dripping from them. There's that much in them, so they look nice. And yeah, it's excess fat, okay? It's excess dietary fat that is leading you to become overweight and therefore ruining your health. So if you remove what is destroying your health, a bad diet, or a diet not fit for human beings, then you can also remove healthcare providers from your life, so remove doctors from your life. Live a more simple life, and also remove the cocktail of pharmaceutical drugs. Okay, so there's never been a reported case of type 2 diabetes reversed through drugs. They just treat the symptoms, whereas the cause is excess dietary fat, leading to insulin insensitivity, insulin resistance. Okay, so the more fat you eat, essentially the fat you eat is the fat you wear, and the more fat you eat, the more unhealthy you become. And yeah, once you realize and you watch my videos and it all becomes obvious, yeah, you might think, well, why didn't I just do what he said earlier? But yeah, it's sometimes because social media is telling you one thing, and the message that I'm sharing in these videos, so eating lots of carbohydrates, essentially the less fat and less protein you're eating, the more carbohydrates you're eating. And yeah, mainly I show unprocessed foods, but I do show some processed foods. So I do recommend some processed foods, but the most processed foods are animal products. So you'll never see anything like that on this channel. It'll always be vegan. Personally, for me, it's for the animals first and to reduce suffering on the planet. But as I always say, most people do not care about that. So I also say it's for health. There's an old butterfly up there. So I then say, well, it's for health, because really, if you want to live the most healthy life that you have with the short life, I shouldn't need to remind you, we all live such a short life, then you might as well live the most healthy life, okay? But that also doesn't cause harm to others. So I hope you enjoy the video, like and subscribe, and I'll do a recap at the end where I show how many grams of fat, protein and carbohydrates I had. And yeah, also part of this, you'll see I do cycling and I enjoy that. So that's part of this lifestyle, this freedom lifestyle. So cycling is amazing for weight loss. And yeah, if you want to say it regulates blood glucose levels, and that's for another video, but essentially, yes, cycling is amazing for your health because it's also relieves the stress on your mind, it relieves the stress on your body, it gets you healthy, gets your heart healthy. So yes, the foods that I recommend along with cycling is the freedom lifestyle. The simple life, the freedom life. I call it the freedom life because it is. So yes, you don't want doctors and health professionals in your life, okay? Just eat the right food and enjoy having fun moving your body. I like cycling. For you that might be dancing, for example. So yeah, for most people I don't usually recommend running, because if you're coming into running and you're overweight, you're probably going to lead to pain and suffering in your joints and injury. So I always say cycling because it's a low impact sport. So essentially your feet aren't pounding on the ground. Can lead to your knees getting sore, for example, or in the past for me it was always a hamstring, which always got me flustered, and then I'd just go back to cycling and I'd be totally fine. So hope you enjoy the video. It'll be breakfast now. And then yeah, so I'll show my blood glucose levels on I'll do sort of a whole recap at the end of the video and put a screenshot right at the end, but during the video you'll probably see time lapses of what happens to my blood glucose levels after I eat. So I hope you enjoy the video, and share the video potentially with someone who's telling you that you need to eat more fat, okay? This should be hopefully at least some persuasion, some wasps. Hopefully that should be some persuasive argument, okay? So I'm being completely transparent. I'm showing my blood glucose levels, okay? And if you say, well, I still don't believe you, there's nothing more I can do, okay? So check out other videos on the channel and you'll always see I'm always lean and healthy and full of energy. So here's my rice. Even though, yes, it says bread, it's not. So here's a cup. So that's 1 cup. And this is the bowl from the rice cooker. So it has
the markings on the side, if the camera works. So I choose how many cups. So essentially if I put 4 cups of rice in here, I fill it up with water to the mark, and then if I want 5 cups, so essentially 4 cups of rice would fill the bowl to here, and then I'd fill it with water up to the corresponding cup mark on here. So this is for water, and then this is the rice cooker here. So you put it in, and then you just press that down, and it cooks it. It's amazing. And there's my herbs and spices for when I make my tomato sauce. It's as simple as put the bowl in, the lid on, turn it on the wall, and then it comes on. It's like a yellowy light, and then you just press this button down, it goes red, and then you just leave it and it'll cook. So it's an electric cooker, so essentially like an induction heater underneath, and then you wait until it flips back to the yellow light, which means it's cooked. And it's as simple as that. So easy. It's so easy. You don't even need to wash the rice, okay? It's not going to be with this basmati rice, this long grain basmati rice. It doesn't stick together. It's so easy, okay? This is easier than going to McDonald's or KFC, okay? This is easier. Do this. Get one of these. Doesn't need to be expensive. Rice cooker. And that's how easy it is, okay? Here is my breakfast. I've got my white rice, just cooked. I've got some beans here, just kind of beans, and some soy sauce for taste. This is a reduced salt one. And I'm just gonna add some pepper, adding some spice to life. This is the super simple magic ingredient. I mean, this is up to you how much you want to use. That's a personal preference. Just some ground pepper. Try not to breathe it in, otherwise it might make you sneeze. So this is, a lot of these videos, this is fast food. This is fast food right here. Okay, this is faster than, I don't even know what KFC and McDonald's are talking about when they say fast food. This is fast food right here. Enjoyable, tasty, low fat, and high carb. In fact, this is more high carb than the food that you're actually getting at a fast food place. I'm also going to have it with this really nice juice here. So there's a blend of apple, clementine, lemon juice, peach, carrot, banana puree. These are really nice, these. I'm having a fruit smoothie, so this is around midday, early afternoon. So there you go, orange, mango, carrot, passion fruit, apple. Nice. I'm doing about 2.5 hours today, so I've got 2 bottles with 100 grams of sugar in each, and it's a bit too windy to take my hands off the bars, but I've got a bag of gummy sweets, vegan gummy sweets as well, and yeah, it's about 16 or 17 degrees, it's not particularly warm. Anyway, I'll show you what I'm going to have for dinner. is what I'm having for my dinner, tea, whatever you want to call it. So I've got my white rice with some soy sauce, and this evening I've got a whole red pepper here chopped up, and I've got a can of mixed beans and some pepper, and also you can't see it, probably can't see it, but I've chopped up about half a bag of basil leaves. So there's just one there to show you some basil, and yeah, one of these really nice fruit juices. Not quite a smoothie, it's more of a fruit juice. So that's what's in it. Yeah, really nice. I really enjoy these really nice simple meals that you can put together quicker than going out and going to McDonald's or KFC or wherever you might go. You got all the all the carbohydrates, more so most likely than what you're going to get from a fast food place, and you're going to get all the healthy fats you need, like the omegas in the rice. And then yeah, it's really nice, and it doesn't leave behind that horrible feeling, that oily feeling in your mouth and in your greasy skin the next day. So this is low fat, high carb, and there's protein in here as well. So hope you're enjoying these videos, and I'll catch you for the recap. And the last thing I'm having is matzos. So I got these crackers, low fat crackers, with some jam and a glass of mango and orange juice. Nice end to the day. This is the recap for day 22. So you want to know how many grams of fat, protein and carbohydrate I had. And again, I take this from the nutritional information on the side of the packaging of the processed foods that I had, and then of the non-processed foods I just generally work out how much it would be. So obviously if it's like a banana, I would say that's probably got about 20 grams of carbohydrate for an average sized banana, for example. And that's just what, if you look up online, you can find from reputable sources. So you can look up like the national, so for example, a good resource is like I don't remember exactly what it's called off the top of my head, but if you look up essentially on the American, I'll put a little link, but like the American food national food body, or whatever it's called, I can't remember off the top of my head. So essentially had 4 grams of fat, 66 grams of protein, and 950 grams of carbohydrate. So again, just to outline why I'm always going on about high carbohydrate, low fat, low protein. If you want to be healthy and lean for life, to live the most healthy life you can, it will always be high sugar. So high sugar or high carbohydrate, low fat, low protein. This will always be the most healthy way to live. And on this channel, I'm promoting being lean. So for me, I look the way I do because I want to be lean for cycling. And I always get, oh, well, your diet's not working, is it because you're lean? Okay, so the whole point of why I recommend these foods is because if you want to be healthy and lean for cycling, then you'll look like me, you'll look lean. So I don't do any gym work, any lifting weights and doing sort of indoor, oh, little plum fell off.
I have to watch out. There might be a flying plum. They're ripe and they're falling off. No, I recommend cycling because I think that is I think that's the best way to move your body to lose weight. So you might call it exercise. I call it having fun moving your body. And also cycling has so many other positive benefits, like, it's amazing for your peace of mind as well when you're out in nature and cycling in nature. And, if you swap out your car for the bike, you can also save lots of money. You don't have to buy a really expensive bike. You can get a really good second-hand bike that'll do a much better job than driving a car. So if you're always driving a car everywhere, you'll always be fast, okay? And yeah, so I don't recommend the gym, lifting weights really, because essentially at the end of the day, that's just for, I would say, vanity, just to look good. And if you want to look good and go to the gym, but I always say, if you're lifting weights, for strength, the more you're lifting weights, the more chance you're going to get injured. Whereas cycling, it's a low impact sport, so the chances of getting injured essentially is zero. I mean, in the 100,000 plus miles I've ridden my bike, the only time I've ever had to take time away from the bike is because I've been injured off the bike, essentially. So recently I've been off the bike a month because I pulled something in my groin off the bike, and I've come back now and I'm getting the miles back in, and I'm enjoying riding my bike again. So I've got a series on the channel, Train Like a Pro. So I'm training like a pro for a month here in the UK with the goal to try and perform in some hill climbs. So in the UK, we have this hill climb culture where, we just get a bike, and doesn't sound very, very poetic, but you just get a bike. Doesn't sound very romantic, sorry. You get a bike and you go up the hill as fast as you can, as hard as you can, and it hurts. But if you win, then you get the accolades of everyone's eyes on you, and you get the attention of the sort of local cycling scene, which is nice. So I look the way I do because my diet, the foods that I recommend, the lifestyle I live, does work. Okay, so I look the way I do because I understand how to look the way I do. And if you want to always be lean for the long run, for longevity, for life, then it's always low fat and low protein. It's low fat because all of the chronic diseases that we see in the West, heart disease, cancer, type 2 diabetes, excess fat also makes type 1 diabetics have to use more insulin, more exogenous drugs. So that's why the foods that I recommend are based on, what's the chronic diseases that affect most people? Well, it's because of high fat. And I also recommend low protein because also if you want to protect your kidney function, protect your kidneys, then it's low protein is the way to go. So if you're having more than 100 grams of fat a day, you're gonna get fat. You're gonna destroy your health. If you're having more than 100 grams of protein a day, again, you're gonna destroy your health. So I always recommend 10 to 20 grams of fat, no more than that a day. No more than 10 to 20 grams of fat a day. And you can see from the foods that I'm eating, sort of averaging probably around 50 to 70 grams or so of protein a day. So I would say, really for a man as well, for a man and woman, no more than that. You don't need more than that. And I eat a lot of rice. For the more rice I eat, that's usually because I'm riding my bike, and when you exercise, your appetite increases, so you just eat more. So as a consequence of eating rice, I'm getting more and more protein, so I can understand that, when I look at the macronutrient breakdown of the foods I'm eating, I'm never going to worry about getting enough protein. What I have to worry about, I say worry, what you need to make sure you get enough of is carbohydrate, okay? Because ATP, your body uses ATP to function. and that is derived from glucose. Okay, so if you're ever running low, if you limit carbohydrate intake, you will limit your performance in life, whether that's through exercise or just day to day in feeling good. Okay, so the reason why you're feeling bad every day, getting fatter and sicker, is because you're eating too much fat, too much protein, and not enough carbohydrate. You're feeling tired, and therefore you want to, or you feel like you need to take drugs. Okay, so caffeine is the most abused drug on this planet, and all you need to do is swap it out for high carbohydrate, low fat, low protein foods like the ones that I'm showing. So yeah, it's the simple life is always the good life. And when I mean that is, what I mean by the simple life is a good life. You can remove drugs from your life. You can remove the negative consequences that you get from living a life not based on health. You can get rid of the doctors from your life. You can get rid of the healthcare professionals. You can get rid of drugs from the pharmaceutical industry and just live a simple life. Okay, you can just get up and every day and feel at least good, if not excellent. Okay, so most days I feel good every day, and then some days I feel amazing, but I'm always feeling at least good. Whereas 99% of the most people I see is they don't feel good. They feel terrible every day. And that's because of the food you're eating. Okay, it's all about the food. This is the way you interact with your environment most, is through the food you eat and the chemicals that are in your food. Okay, it's obvious once you realize it. You know, we think about, well, water is mainly just a few elements. You know, you got hydrogen and oxygen, and then you got a few dozen chemicals depending on how clean the water is, and then you know you got oxygen and nitrogen in the air, and then you've got a few other elements, and then you got a few other chemicals. But the food you eat, you think about how many chemicals are in food. I mean, you got good and bad. So, you know, just certain foods you eat, you know, especially when you're eating fruit and veg, you're getting, you know, there's thousands of carotenes, for example, in foods. And then you look at everything that's in food, just the basic organic food, you know, it all adds up. So if you're eating the food that is making you sick, and then you think about, well, how many chemicals are in the foods that are bad for you? And quite often we don't even know, because you know when chemicals are being sprayed, and well, that could be for another video. So yeah, I do recommend some processed foods. I recommend unprocessed and some processed foods, but they're always vegan. Never ever any animal products. You know, I lived the first 19 years of my life making that mistake of having animal products and calling myself vegetarian. Okay, so there's no such thing as vegetarian, because milk is not a vegetable; it's liquid meat. Okay, milk is not a vegetable; it's liquid meat. Eggs are not vegetables, and fish are not vegetables. Okay, so I hope you enjoy the video, and stay tuned for day 23. Like and subscribe. If you got any questions or comments, put in the comment section. If I was on a train of thought and it ended too soon for you and you want to hear more about certain things I say, then you can get in touch on in the email in the description for personalized weight loss coaching, such as I can make a meal plan for you that suits what you do day to day, and therefore you don't have to have any more of the guessing game. Okay, you can just eat. You don't need to worry about, well, what should I eat? You can just see the plan and you go, right, this is what I'm going to have for today. So thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.